Hey, welcome back. I'm glad to have you with me here today. We're going to talk about common mistakes that real estate investors make. In fact, I'm going to cover 5 of them for you here today. As you know, we're all about real estate investing in commercial investment real estate. I appreciate you joining me. My name is Mark Hulsey. I'm the managing broker of Results Commercial. We're a boutique commercial investment firm in the Twin Cities. So you guys, I've been around investment real estate for well over 25 years, and we kind of cover it from what we do here on YouTube channels, we kind of cover it from the very beginning, intermediate, all the way to the very advanced. And so that's kind of an advantage that we have. We are actually active brokers, so we are brokering, selling, and I've also been an owner for a very, very long time. So let's get started today, because just like in life, right? If you can avoid the mistakes, you're halfway to success right off the bat. So that's what I want to talk with you about. Let's cover 5 of them today. So many of these actually apply to almost any investment. It can be a simple single family home investment. Maybe it's a duplex, fourplex. It could even be a potential office building or retail building. So what do we got? Number one mistake, don't overpay for the property, right? I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, but I can tell you that if you're newer into real estate investing, it's really common for a newer investor to get super excited. In fact, emotions can start to run away with themselves. And the next thing you know, you're getting a little bit too excited about the potential of buying this property. You get excited about that idea of being this investor and being this owner, and suddenly the number crunching can become secondary as we let some of our other thinking get in the way. And so first and foremost, you can't ever overpay for the property. In fact, I'll probably be doing a video that talks about that we make our money on the buy. So maybe check that video out here in just a little bit. So it's all about the numbers. This is all about business. This is about creating wealth, passive income, but we'll never reach those objectives if at the very beginning on the acquisition we're overpaying for the property. You'll find more videos here about how we actually go through the analysis of this and value the real estate, but right now, keep that in mind. Number 2, I've seen this a million times over. This is very, very common with the newer investor. Sometimes the intermediate, but usually by the time you get to being an intermediate level investor, you've learned your lesson. New investors, pay attention here. You go buy your single family home, your duplex, your triplex, your fourplex, your small apartment building, and what do? You get, once again, a little bit too excited with your pocketbook and you start spending too much money. You fix it up. All right? This is killer because again, we're watching every dollar we spend. I'm all for make sure that you put the property together in a way that you're going to get the market rents. You surely don't want to have a property in a neighborhood that can support market rents, but the quality of the unit is such that, someone says, geez, the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedrooms, they're pretty lousy. I'm not going to pay you market rent because your unit is no good. But then the opposite can also be true, and the next thing you know, you're putting into a Class B neighborhood or Class C neighborhood, your granite counters and your fancy this and fancy that, and the rent won't support the renovations. And so suddenly somebody gets all carried away and they've got, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 into renovations. And when we have to start factoring that in when we're doing our number crunching, suddenly the numbers aren't working so well. And it can get very, very tough to start to recover those kinds of capital investments. So do not overspend on your renovations. Get it tight, get it nice. That's going to match up to what the market rents are. Number 3, kind of 2 pieces here, you guys. Okay, number 1, don't overcharge for the unit. All right, there too, sometimes if you're newer, you can start to think like, oh man, this is so nice, everyone's gonna love it, the rental market's so hot, I'm gonna push that rent. I'm just gonna push it an extra $50 or $100 a month and see what I get. Very risky. Why is it risky? Because first of all, think about that. Let's just say you are pushing the rent and you're pushing it by $50, $75, $100 a month higher than what the market might bear because you think that your unit's great and that garage can support all of this. And then the next thing you know, you've gone an extra month and a half, 2 months with a vacancy. So suddenly that 1 month of vacancy chewed up all of your rent increase of $50 or $100 over the standard market price. So be really, really smart. Be a bit conservative in setting your rents because what do you want? You want lots of great people coming to you. And it doesn't matter what this is. I don't care if it's office, I don't care if it's retail. It doesn't make any difference if it's a single family home. You gotta be competitive in your rent so that you're bringing in lots of good candidates for tenancy because it's all about tenancy. It's about the quality of the tenant because that's who's creating the income on the property. Can't sit on vacancies. Vacancies are killer. So there too. Let's get our rents right. Let's not make sure we don't have any vacancies any longer than we need to. So tenants, speaking of tenants here too, this can be something that can affect, this is I think mistake number 4 I'm on number right now. So this can affect both newer investors as well as people who've been in the business for a while, and that is you're not digging deep enough into the quality of the tenant. Okay, so guys, when you speak about tenancy, what's really important here is that every state, in fact, many municipalities, have their own rules on tenancy. Landlords, this is a key thing. Obviously, we need to know and understand tenancy in and out and up and down. So for instance, I will always guide people to make sure that they have from our Attorney General's office what's called the Landlord Tenant Handbook. And so in each of your respective markets, make sure you dive in deeply because these laws, these ordinances, and these rules are changing on what landlords can do, who they can rent to, who they cannot rent to. So let's be super clear about that. Make sure you've got yourself covered on that. And especially, let's say that you've been on the market with your vacant 2-bedroom upper duplex unit for a matter of a few weeks and you just haven't found somebody yet. And the next thing you know, whether it's through Craigslist or one of the other places that you've got this advertised, somebody comes along and you're just like, I don't want to be vacant for another month. I can't afford to be vacant for another month. And the next thing you know, you start compromising on your tenant quality by not going through thorough tenant background checks. Okay, this is really important. It also gets really important in many states where it's mandatory on a multi-unit building for a landlord to fully check out to make sure they understand the background of a tenant. Okay, Minnesota, we're pretty tightly regulated and we can't be putting in whether it be felons or level 3 sex offenders into multi-unit buildings because we're jeopardizing the safety of the other tenants in the building. There's no shortcuts on this. Yeah, spend some extra money, hire a service. There are companies that do this for landlords and they will do all the background checks so that you have the information necessary. Another point, we'll talk about charging in an application process to do these background checks, but most importantly, don't take someone's word for it. Don't take the tenant's word for it that, oh yeah, I'm going to tell you this and that about how wonderful I am in my last tenancy. And I don't mean to, I gotta be careful what I say here, but many times somebody who wants to rent your unit, they'll say just about anything just to get into the unit. And it's easy for us to sometimes buy into what they're saying and we can't do it. So do the background checks on the tenants. Number 5, after you've been in the business for a while, you've learned this lesson. What is the lesson? The lesson is you got to treat this like a business. Every single individual property is its own business. That duplex is a business. That single family rental is a business. That retail strip center is its own business. Why? It's an income producing asset. That's the way you need to look at that. My business is an income producing asset. A real estate investment is the same thing. I treat my business like a business. I don't treat it haphazardly. You have to do the same thing with each one of your properties. What do I mean by that? So let me give you an example, you guys. Here's what ends up happening. There too, many times, sometimes with the newer investors, is suddenly we can start to treat it a little bit more, personally versus professionally. So the next thing you know, it's the holiday season, and that tenant who you seem to get along with so well just tells you, listen, I might be a little bit late on rent this month. And of course, you want to be the good landlord, right? You don't want to bust their chops. You want to give them a break. The moment we start giving people breaks, the moment we start doing that, we need to be very, very careful. Now, actually, as we're recording this, we're in a pandemic environment. We're in a really weird environment in the sense that landlords have been required to give tenants breaks, moratorium on evictions, all these kinds of things. And that's all good and well. There's also nothing wrong with giving people an opportunity if they fall behind to get caught up. Nothing wrong with that. But let's be formal about it. Let's treat this formally. Let's have agreements in place. Let's get people signing off on these agreements so that people are accountable. The worst thing that can happen, hey, by the way, you guys, these mistakes, I've made almost all of these mistakes. This is a mistake I've made many times over. And what is that? That's just simply that, been too kind to a tenant. I've bought into a story, and the next thing you know, you're not a month behind on rent, you're 2 months behind on rent, you're trying to work something out with them and it can't be worked out. Well, Mark, can I paint your building for you? Can I clean for you? Can I shovel the snow for you? And the moment we start getting into that kind of stuff, there's all kinds of liability issues that can creep up. So, for many years, as I've counseled investors, I've used this little line for a long, long time and said, listen, yes, be a nice guy, be a nice gal, working with your tenants. There's business, there's ministry. You got to be careful when you're a landlord how much these two cross over, because it can be very, very dangerous. The next thing you know, when you're not collecting rents and you've got to make your mortgage payment and you're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for the eviction, having to either hire the people or going to court, and the next thing you know, you're upside down. Treat it like a business in every regard and every respect. So I hope this was helpful, you guys, to understand of how to avoid some of these key mistakes. Okay, I'm going to bring you more of these mistakes because, like I said, let's avoid the mistakes and then we can be halfway or more on our way to success. Check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, ring the bell, do what you need to do. I'm going to give you lots of information from decades worth of investing, brokerage, and training. I've been at this for a really long time, and what I want to do is I want to share this with you. So I hope that you'll find the value in that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out at resultscommercial.com. Social media, you'll see us on all the social media channels. I really appreciate you being with me today. Thank you so much.